Hi friends, today let's discuss about preamble of the Constitution. Preamble is an introduction or preface to the Constitution. If you observed in any of the books, you will see the preface part before the introduction of the book. That preface provides you the overall summary of the book and it gives you the overall philosophy of that book. In the same way, Indian Constitution, the preamble provides you the overall philosophy, summary and gist of the Constitution. The eminent jurist N.A. Palkhiwala referred the preamble as the identity card of the Constitution. Now you get the idea about preamble. It is a summary. It provides you the basic philosophy of the Constitution. So American Constitution was the first to start the Constitution with a preamble. After that, a lot of countries included preamble as part of the Constitution. India is also one of the case. The preamble is like this. You have to memorize the whole preamble as it is. It's very useful for general studies or essay part. It's very basic. You must learn this as it is and remember. So it read like this. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, and it also provides you the date on which the preamble was adopted. Here some of the words provided in the preamble are very important for understanding the Constitution and also for the examination. Here preamble starts with the word we, W-E, we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute, and ends with the to give ourselves this Constitution. So this is referred to as people of India resolved to constitute India into a sovereign country, socialist, secular, democratic, republican country. And they decided to give themselves this Constitution. This gives you the idea that nobody is above the people and nobody is forcing the Constitution makers to design a Constitution to their advantage. The Constitution makers are designing the Constitution for the benefit of the people and for the country. And remaining keywords I am going to explain shortly. Before that, some of the observations can be made from the preamble. As we know, the source of authority of the Constitution is the people of India. In the introductory word itself, it denotes we, means the people of India. So it's understandable. And the second was nature of the state. Nature of the state is socialist, secular, sovereign, democratic republic. So these are the nature. These are the features of the country. The objectives of the Constitution are to secure to citizens the justice, liberty, equality and fraternity. These are the aims of the Constitution to secure to its citizens. So date of adoption is for 26th November 1949. Now let's decode some of the keywords of the Constitution. The first word is sovereign. Sovereign means India is neither dependent on any of the country. It is free to choose its own policies and it is free to take its own decisions for the benefit of its own people. Before independence, India was part of the Imperial British Empire. All the decisions on the part of the country are taken to benefit the Britishers and imperial power. But after independence, India became sovereign. Sovereign means independent of any of the external power. All the decisions are taken to benefit the people and to maintain the interests, to maintain the prosperity of the country. So this is the meaning of this sovereign. Second concept is socialist. Socialist means socialism is an economic philosophy and social philosophy which rests or provides the means of wealth and natural resources to the community for the benefit of the community, and the community holds the natural resources in a cooperative manner. It is against the concept of capitalism. In capitalism, all the natural resources and the means of production are held by the individual themselves for their own benefit. But in socialism, it is not the case. It is the natural resources are held for the benefit of the society. It is also the basic feature of the Indian Constitution. There are two kinds of socialism. One is democratic socialism and another one is communistic socialism. The philosophy followed by USSR, that is erstwhile Russia, was communistic socialism. All the means of production were concentrated with the state. All the natural resources are with the states itself. In communistic socialism, all the means of production and also natural resources are with the state themselves. State maintains the resources for the benefit of the country. But in democratic socialism, both public and private individuals maintain the property, with the ultimate aim is to bring prosperity to the society as a whole and not to any section of the society. So India is following the democratic socialism, and it's also called mixed economy as against the communistic economy. But after economic liberalization in 1991, this socialistic leanings has been diluted because of the privatization of most of the sectors of the economy, and also moving away from the socialistic principles to the somewhat the capitalistic philosophy. It has been diluted. Third concept is secular. The word secular was added by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 by Indira Gandhi government. Secular means separation of the state and religion in the administration of the country. The state does not support any particular religion at the cost of other religion. So there are two concepts of secularism. The one is Western-based secularism, means neutrality of the state towards all the religion. That is negative concept. That is complete dissociation of the state from the religion. State does not intervene in the religious matters, not at all, in any of the matters. But in Indian concept, it is a positive concept of secularism. Here, since India is a multi-religious and diverse country, we should not be neutral or negative to the concept of religion. Here, there are a lot of minorities, majorities, and various shades of a section of the people are present. So, the positive concept of secularism, that is, all the religion of the country have to be supported with equal force. There should not be any discrimination between one religion with the other, and all the religions have to be supported by the state equally. So this India is also doing the same thing. And the fourth concept is democratic. The democratic polity mentioned in the preamble is based on doctrine of popular sovereignty. The people are independent. Nobody forces the people to do certain things, like in Saudi Arabia, that is a kingdom, that is a monarchy. There the women are not allowed to drive because of some of the religious restrictions. Or else in North Korea, even people are not allowed to practice any of the religion that is against the communistic principle for them. But in India, people are free to practice any of the religion, and they are free to profess any of the philosophy, and are free to question the authority when the authority goes wrong, as long as that is not against the interest of the society as a whole. So, India is a democratic country with popular sovereignty. This is the concept. So, democracy is of two types: the direct democracy and indirect democracy. In direct democracy, people directly administers the country with the passage of with voting for each legislation and each decisions with the aid of referendum, initiative, recall, plebiscite, like that. It is happening in Switzerland. Since it is a small country, it is possible for them to take part directly in the governing of the country. But India, with more than 100 crore population, it's very difficult to govern the country directly by the people. So the people chooses their representatives every 5 years to represent themselves in governing the country as MPs and MLAs. So this is indirect democracy. In indirect democracy, there is two types: the parliamentary system of government, which our country is following, and also presidential system of government, which United States and Sri Lanka and some of the countries are following, where the ultimate authority rests with the president. The president is the real head. The next concept is republic. Polity of the state can be divided into two forms, two categories. One is monarchy and the republic. Monarchic state and republican state. In monarchy, head of the state is the king. Head of the state is king. In republican state, the head of the state is an elected individual. People elect directly or indirectly the head of the state, like president, prime minister. The republic means representation of public in public offices. Whereas the monarchy, for example, in United Kingdom, nominal head is the Queen Elizabeth. So that is a constitutional monarchy with king or queen as the head. But in India, is a republican state where the head of the state is occupied by an elected individual, elected periodically by the people themselves. Republic also means that there is absence of privileges to any section of the class or community. The next concept is justice. Justice in the preamble includes three forms of justice, that is social, economic and political justice. It is secured to the citizens in the form of fundamental rights and directive principles. In fundamental rights, there are different rights given to the citizens, like right to freedom of speech and expression, right against exploitation, right to equality before law. These are all the different kinds of justices that is given by the constitution to the citizens of the country as part of the first is social justice. It denotes the equal treatment of all citizens irrespective of caste, sex, that is male or female, place of birth, religion, color. It means the absence of privileges to any sections of the society. All the sections and all the castes, all the religion are equal before the constitution. So in the earlier medieval times, the society was divided into different divisions like Brahmins, Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya, like that. There the Brahmins were occupied at the top of the hierarchy and Shudra at the bottom. There were distinctions, there are different privileges given to different sections. So Shudras were exploited at that time. But the constitution gave equality to all the sections and all the castes. There is no discrimination after adoption of constitution, at least on paper, according to constitution. Then economic justice, and any section of the society is not discriminated with the other. So the constitution has the aim to secure equality between the sections and remove the inequality in wealth, income and property. So the political justice implies all the people of the country have equal political rights. They have equal rights to contest election or to choose their representatives without any discrimination based on caste, sex, place of birth. So this idea of justice, that is social, economic and political justice, taken from the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution was based on these philosophies, justice on socio-economic and political justice. So India took those philosophical underpinning and included that in our constitution. The next term is liberty. The next concept is liberty. Liberty means absence of restrictions on the activities of the individual and also providing opportunities for the development of the individual personalities. So there is no restrictions on the activities of the individuals in any form. For example, in thoughts, expression, belief, faith, worship, people have liberty to practice their own philosophies. So these are secured and given in the fundamental rights of the country. They are basic features of the constitution. So liberty is a basic feature. It doesn't mean that anybody can do anything at their own will. It has to be in conformity with the social harmony, welfare of the community as a whole. It should not bring any inconvenience to any section of the society or bring any harm to any section of the society. So there has been a reasonable restriction. These are not absolute. Absolute means there is no restriction, but qualified. This liberty provided in the constitution is qualified. Qualified means with reasonable restrictions. This idea of liberty, equality and fraternity of the constitution in our preamble has been taken from French Revolution in 1789 to 99. French Revolution was based on liberty, equality, fraternity. So India borrowed this concept and included that in our constitution. The next thing is equality. Equality means absence of special privileges to any section of the society. As I mentioned earlier, in the medieval period, some privileges, extra privileges were given to a particular caste like Brahmins, Vaishyas, and these privileges were denied to Shudras and untouchables at that time based on the social hierarchy. But these inequalities and special privileges were removed with the adoption of constitution. So everybody made equal before the Constitution. So this is the basic philosophy. Yeah. Here, preamble secures to all citizens equality of status and opportunities. Equality of status, earlier as I mentioned, status based on the birth of the individual. But now there is equal status and opportunity. Anybody can practice any profession or any work according to their abilities. This provision embraces three dimensions of equality, that is civic, political, and economic equality. Our Constitution provides equality to the citizens with various acts in the fundamental rights. Like in fundamental rights, Article 14, the Constitution provides for equality before law. In Article 15, it prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. In Article 16, provides equality of opportunities in matters of public employment. It means there should not be any discrimination in employment for the public officers. Article 17 abolishes untouchability, so it removes inequality between the castes. Article 18 abolishes titles. Titles means prefixes before the kings, like Raja, Dhiraja, earlier used to include, like Zamindar. Article 325 provides that no person is to be declared ineligible for inclusion in the electoral rolls on the grounds of religion, race, caste, or sex. Means nobody should be discriminated for voting. Article 325 and 326 provides political equality to the citizens. Article 325 prohibits discrimination on the grounds of race, religion, caste, sex in the matters of inclusion in the electoral rolls. So electoral rolls are the list of citizens which are who are eligible to vote in the elections. So everybody has the right to vote according to Article 325. And Article 326 provides universal adult suffrage. Everybody who is above the age of 18 years has the right to vote, irrespective of caste, sex, place of birth, religion, color, etc. And in other sections like directive principles, Article 39 secures men and women equal right to adequate means of livelihood and equal pay for equal work. So men and women should get the equal pay for the equal work. So this is directive principle, not yet made a fundamental right. This is amusing, at least now. The next concept is fraternity. Fraternity means the sense of brotherhood. It is enforced by the Constitution with the provision of single citizenship. Means all the states has only one citizenship. That is citizenship for the India. Not, for example, a person from Karnataka do not have the separate citizenship to that of person from Tamil Nadu or AP or Delhi, like that. So everybody has the single citizenship. But in United States, each state has its own citizenship and also citizenship of the country. But in India, to forge the sense of brotherhood between the people and to embrace the integrity and unionness of the citizens, the single citizenship was provided. So, and Article 51A, that is having fundamental duties, also says that it is duty of every citizen to promote harmony and the spirit of common brotherhood among all the people of India, irrespective of religion, linguistic, regional and sectional diversities. Preamble also provides that fraternity should provide two things. One is dignity of the individual and another one is unity and integrity of the nation. So when there is a sense of brotherhood, there is unity and integrity of the nation. There is no division between sections, between regions of the country. So forging the sense of brotherhood and sisterhood is very much important for integrity of the country. These are all the keywords that are very important for examination point of view and also for understanding the philosophy of the Constitution of India. So preamble is very significant in its own way, because it provides the thinking of the constitution makers on how and on what basis India has to move in the forward direction in the future days to come. They provided the guideline, the path for the India to move forward. So these are based on these philosophies, India has to move forward, like fraternity, socialism, secularism, liberty, equality. The controversy about the preamble is that whether it is a part of the constitution or not, or can preamble be amended. In Berubari Union case 1960, Supreme Court held that preamble cannot be amended, and also preamble is not a part of the constitution. Supreme Court declared that even though preamble mirrors the minds of the constitution makers, it cannot be amended, and preamble is not a part of the constitution. But in Keshavananda Bharti case 1973, Supreme Court held that decisions given by the earlier bench was wrong. Preamble is an integral part of the constitution. And also it held that preamble can be amended. Preamble can be amended but without disturbing the basic feature of the constitution. And this decision is reiterated by LIC of India case 1995 again by Supreme Court. So preamble can be amended. Only once preamble was amended in 1976 by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. 3 terms, that is socialist, secular and integrity, were added to the preamble. Remember that preamble is neither a source of power to the legislature nor a prohibition upon the power of the legislature. That means preamble, that is MPs, that is the parliament, cannot take powers from the preamble, cannot drop power from the preamble to its legislation, or it cannot restrict the legislature to do a certain things in a certain way. And the features provided in the preamble cannot be enforced in a court of law. For example, the fundamental rights, if it is violated, can be enforced, can be restored when the party goes to the court, Supreme Court, either Supreme Court or a High Court, with the help of writs like habeas corpus, certiorari, quo warranto, like that. But preamble, the features cannot be enforced in a court of law. It's only a guiding source and philosophy on which the country can be moved in a proper right direction. So preamble, this is it. Thanks for watching.